What's up, people? It's time for another episode of Gross Pointe Bake. We back again, man. And this time, we in the movie department, man. This show is all about the numbers, man. What movies are making what kind of money, what albums are selling what TV shows are getting watched and all that good stuff. Who's putting butts in the seat? Now, when you think about the biggest movie stars of all time, who comes to mind? The biggest movie stars at the box office of all time. Who comes to your mind first? Who are people that you know got those box office hits under their belt? Who are those people that you, man, oh, this person, that person, this person. These two guys are actors that I'm sure would come to mind when you really sat and thought about it, if they're not your knee-jerk reaction. It's the battle of the T's, man. It's the battle of the Toms. Tom Cruise versus Tom Hanks. Who's really putting the butts in the seats between the Toms, man? Who the top Tom, man? The top Tom in the game. Let's find out. Now, in this battle, this is going to be another versus battle. Now, in this battle, I'm doing domestic box office gross, adjusted for inflation. So, you know, if it came out in the 80s, we gonna take that into consideration when it comes to the gross. So we adjusting for inflation. We doing domestic top fives each. Then I'll give you the total numbers after that. Also, I'm taking out voice work. This is going to be Tom Hanks without the Toy Story franchise. So I'm taking that off the table to make it a little more even keel. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the Tom Cruise stuff is live action. I want to make it fair. So I'm taking Toy Story off the table, but I will give you the Toy Story amount just to show you how it works. Yeah, because even though Tom Hanks is essential to Woody, like Tom Hanks is Woody, I just want to make it a little bit more fair. Just like when I did Eddie Murphy versus Jim Carrey, I took Shrek off just to make it a more even fight. So now we both got these actors at live action speed, all right? So let's get into it, man. Let's see who's going to come out on top. Everybody in the Chatsworth, my patron saints, put your guesses in. Who you think going to win this? Give me your guesses right here, right now. Who you think winning this? Who y'all got? A lot of people saying Tom Hanks is out because, you know, we taking Toy Story off the table. Tom is out, right? I mean, Tom Hanks. They both Toms. Chris Reynolds says Cruise got this. G-Man says Cruise. Styler says Hanks. Lachey is with Cruise. Latoya is with Cruise. Pretty Pricey says Hanks for the win. Let's see. Let's find out, man. Let's get the numbers going. We're going to start off with Tom Cruise. All right. Tom Cruise, his top five. Number 5, Mission Impossible 2, with the equivalent gross of $366.4 million at the box office. His number 5 is $366.4 million at the box office. That's pretty damn good for your number 5. Mission Impossible 2 was directed by John Woo. It was a sequel to the smash hit Mission Impossible 1. John Woo came in and made it. He changed the way Mission Impossible looked and felt. Like, it was definitely a John Woo picture with the slow motion and the doves and the double pistols and the ridiculousness and the mad shootouts and the sparks flying. You know, if you know anything about John Woo movies, it's going to be some slow motion. It's going to be mad gunplay. It's usually going to be gun to gun. He loved the gun shot. I got the gun on you, you got the gun on me. Slow motion, random dub. If you're not familiar with John Woo off the top, he directed Face Off, Broken Arrow, Hard Target, and Mission Impossible 2, and Wind Talkers. On the American side, he also did the classics Hard Boiled and Killer overseas, and The Better Tomorrow. But John Woo is that guy. He did Mission Impossible 2, and it did $366.4 million at the box office. Number 4, Mission Impossible 1. Mission Impossible 1 that came out in summer of 1996, directed by Brian De Palma. It grossed the equivalent of $375.4 million at the domestic box office. It was a huge hit. It kicked off a franchise that's still alive and well today. I would argue that Mission Impossible is one of the best franchises ever in terms of quality. We already 6 deep in the Mission Impossible franchise. Even their worst one is pretty damn good. in my opinion, I feel like even the worst Mission Impossible is pretty damn good. And I feel like, every time a new one comes out, we can expect some crazy stunts from Tom Cruise, because he is the American Jackie Chan. Mission Impossible made the equivalent of $375.4 million at the domestic box office, and it kicked off a franchise that's still alive and well today. Number 3, we taking action off the table now. We taking action off, which is a feat. Rain Man, $394 million at the domestic box office. $394 million at the domestic box office. These are incredible numbers for a drama. It stars Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. Dustin Hoffman won an Academy Award for his portrayal in this movie. And Rain Man, I think it might have got Best Picture at the Oscars that year. Rain Man was a smash. And to say that, Tom Cruise was able to do this without action, that's pretty dope, man. It's just a straight up, a character drama. And Rain Man was a good ass time. I thought Dustin Hoffman killed it, but I thought Tom Cruise did his thing as well. I think, he gets overshadowed by, Dustin Hoffman's performance, but I think Tom Cruise did his thing as well as the frustrated, put upon, yet caring brother the whole time. And it was a good dynamic. And I think Rain Man, I rewatched Rain Man a couple years ago, and I was like, yo, this is a good movie, man. So if you haven't seen Rain Man, check it out, man. It's a good time. But it's his number 3 movie, $394 million at the domestic box office, adjusted for inflation, of course. Number two, we back on that action tip, man. Top Gun from 1986. $437.7 million at the domestic box office adjusted for inflation. Top Gun was a smash. $437.7 million at the domestic box office, man. I feel the need for speed. You know what I'm saying? Classic line, classic action flick, total 80s, vibe. And it was just like, it was the 80s all day, man. And it was just like a movie that really resonated. It's like a time capsule, just like, this is where we were at that time. This was the vibe. This was the energy. The soundtrack was classic. The stakes was high, and you know what I'm saying? You just felt the tension between Maverick and Iceman, and then you felt for Goose. It was just like a nice little time capsule, and it was a nice blockbuster, and it shot Tom Cruise into the atmosphere of just like box office McGee. Top Gun was the movie that did that. $437.7 million domestic box office. Number 1 for Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick made $716.6 million at the domestic box office. I ain't got to inflate nothing because the movie came out this year. Tom Cruise, this late in his career, had the highest grossing movie of his career. That's an amazing feat. And this ain't got nothing to do with no comic books. This ain't got nothing to do with author, source material. This ain't got no fantastical wizards and aliens and spaceships and superheroes. This is a straight up fighter pilot movie that made the equivalent of not even equivalent. It made $716 million at the domestic box office. You talk about butts in the seats. That's butts in the big seats. Post-pandemic, this is the biggest movie of the year by far, so far. And it was a good time. It's one of my favorite movies of this year. It was just a good-ass time at the movies, and that is Tom Cruise's number 1 movie ever, box office-wise, domestically for this man. And that's quite the accomplishment, man. So Tom Cruise, his top 5 movies total up to $2.29 billion. $2.29 billion for his top 5 grossing movies, man. That's some heavyweight shit right there. Tom Cruise, man. That's impressive. Let's move on to the Hanks, man. Tom Hanks, your boy. Everybody loves Tom Hanks, man. Tom Hanks is a national treasure, goddammit. It's just something about him we all just love. We love some Tom Hanks. But I took Toy Story off, as y'all know. So we just going live action on this mug. Number 5 for Tom Hanks, The Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci Code is number 5 for Tom Hanks. That made the equivalent of $304.5 million at the domestic box office. It was based on the best-selling novel by Dan Brown called The Da Vinci Code, and it made a lot of box office noise. I've never seen the movie. I've never seen The Da Vinci Code, so I can't vouch for it, but I just know it was a nice box office hit. And it made that money. Tom Hanks had a robust head of hair in that joint. The Da Vinci Code did its thing at the box office, man. I've never seen the movie, never read the book. It was making that money. The sequels didn't do nearly as well as this first one. So there's that. I think Penelope Cruz is also in that movie. No relation to Tom Cruise. All right. Number 4 for Tom Hanks. Apollo 13. $365.3 million at the domestic box office. Apollo 13 was a big hit in 1995. I want to say the summer of 1995. It starred Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, and Kevin Bacon. It was based on the Apollo 13 mission, directed by Ron Howard, and that was like the movie of the summer for a while. And Apollo 13 was making noise at that box office, man. People was pulling up for that Apollo 13. It was a good movie too. Good movie, well acted. Tom Hanks don't miss on the acting tip. He's just that guy. He has an extreme amount of range. And Apollo 13 was that movie people were pulling up for, and it was a good time. Shout out to Bill Paxton, man. Rest in peace. And Apollo 13 was a good time, man. People pulled up for that, man. That's good money right there. Number 3, Castaway. Castaway made the equivalent of $387.4 million at the box office. Castaway, the majority of the film was just Tom Hanks and a volleyball. This lets you know the range and draw of Tom Hanks. It's Tom Hanks and a volleyball named Wilson. We pulled up in good numbers, and the movie did extremely well at the box office. It earned Tom Hanks an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. He did a tremendous weight loss. It was a whole thing, and it was a good movie, man. And you really felt for Wilson. He made you really connect with that goddamn volleyball, man. We cared about Wilson, and when he lost Wilson, we was devastated. Castaway, man. When you can make a movie when it's just you for the majority of the film and still bring butts to the seats, $387.4 million worth of butts to the seats, you are an amazing actor. Shout out to Will Smith too, because I Am Legend wasn't no slouch at the box office either. But Castaway did his thing. That's Tom Hanks' number 3 movie. Number 2, Saving Private Ryan. Number 2, made the equivalent of $419.1 million at the domestic box office. $419.1 million, man. I consider Saving Private Ryan the best war film of all time, in my opinion. That's my favorite war film ever. Tom Hanks, directed by Steven Spielberg, had a great cast. This was the first time I was ever terrified of war. This was the first time war absolutely terrified me when I saw Saving Private Ryan for the first time. This was the first time war just felt completely random and horrible, and just, that's when you truly realize what gun battles really look like and the devastation they cause. And this wasn't no like movie injuries. It didn't feel like that. It felt very real. As soon as the movie came on and they opened the little shutter on the ship and people were just getting wiped out, he was like, oh, this is the kind of movie we do? Okay. Anybody could get it. It was terrifying. Visually, it was just amazing. And I feel like that movie was just incredible. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. But it did $419.1 million at the domestic box office. Bread. And Tom Hanks was great in it, as usual. And number 1 for Tom Hanks, and y'all probably already know what the number 1 is. Y'all probably already know what the number 1 Tom Hanks movie is of all time. Turner and Hooch. Turner and Hooch. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is Tom Hanks' number 1 film at the box office. $737 million at the domestic box office. That movie made the equivalent of $737 million at the domestic box office. Crazy money. I saw Forrest Gump in theaters twice the summer it came out. It completely blew me away. I had a good ass time. I laughed, I cried. I didn't know what to expect going in, but I left the theater like, yo, this shit was dope. So quotable. I know a lot of people like to hate on Forrest Gump now. It's like, it's not as good as they say. I enjoyed the hell out of it, man. It was an entertaining movie. One thing you cannot say is that it was boring. That's one thing you cannot say. For us to take this journey through life with this man, and it was just like the way he talked, and it was just iconic. It got Tom Hanks a second Oscar in 2 years. He won an Oscar the year before for Philadelphia, and then the next year he won for Forrest Gump, man. It was a good 1-2 punch for Tom Hanks. I just solidified Tom Hanks as one of the greatest to ever do it. $737 million at the box office. So that brings Tom Hanks's top 5 total domestically to $2.21 billion. That's his top 5. So the winner just by, wait, hold on, let me do my math right. That'd be 200 million, you know what I'm saying? So that would be, you know what I'm saying? The winner by 80 million, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise wins by $80 million, which is nothing when you compare in billions here. Tom Cruise wins the domestic top 5. Now, let's do the totals. Let's break it down even further. Tom Cruise has a total domestic gross, all his films, these are all his films, total domestic, $5.1 billion domestically. Tom Hanks has $5.4 billion domestically. So on a domestic head-to-head, leaving Toy Story movies in, Tom Hanks actually has the higher domestic gross, leaving the Toy Stories in. Worldwide, Tom Cruise has $12.2 billion worldwide. Tom Hanks has $11.6 billion worldwide. So worldwide, Tom Cruise beats Tom Hanks by a little under $1 billion. So Tom Cruise wins the worldwide battle. Tom Hanks wins the domestic battle. That's of course with Toy Story. Now let me tell you what this list would have looked like if Toy Story was left in. If we left in Toy Story, that would have brought Tom Hanks' top 5 domestic total to $2.51 billion. So if we left Toy Story in there, Tom Hanks would have won domestically. Toy Story 1 made $403.4 million at the domestic box office adjusted for inflation. Toy Story 2 grossed the equivalent of $439.9 million at the domestic box office. Toy Story 3 made $482.3, and Toy Story 4 made $434.5. So Tom Hanks' whole top 5, he would have had 3 Toy Story movies in there, Saving Private Ryan and Forrest Gump. That would have been Tom Hanks' top 5. It'd have been three Toy Story movies, Saving Private Ryan and Forrest Gump. So there we have it. That's the battle. We got to give the battle, based on the parameters that were set up, we got to give the battle to Tom Cruise. There's an asterisk because we took out the Toy Story. Leaving Toy Story in there, Tom Hanks wins domestically. Worldwide though, Tom Cruise got that victory with or without the Toy Story. So there we have it, man. That was a good battle, man. The battle of the Toms. They wasn't bullshitting, man. It was face to face, head to head. Let me know, out of the top 5 movies of each actor, let me know your favorite. Let me know your favorite between Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible, Rain Man, Top Gun Maverick. And let me know your favorite out of the Da Vinci Code, Apollo 13, Castaway, Saving Private Ryan, Forrest Gump. Let me know your favorites. My favorite out of the Tom Hanks 5 is Saving Private Ryan. My favorite out of the Tom Cruise 5, man, Rain Man was really good, man. But I'm going to go with Top Gun Maverick. Those are my picks. You can't pick Toy Story, though. We taking that out. The 5 that are here. Let me know what your favorites are in the comment section below. And also, who do you think was going to win this? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, I'm always open to more ideas, more battles we can have, and just more lists y'all want to see on this show. Thank y'all for tuning in to Gross Pointe